Father, I'm going live now. Father Rose,
Yes, yes,
I'm going live now.
yes. It is 6. Yeah, it is 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes, we are now live. Is that correct, sir?
Xavier, you're on mute.
Yeah, yes. Hello, everyone. Good evening. We welcome you to this evening webinar. Dr. Mohan, a renowned diabetologist and an alumnus of Loyola College, will be talking to us this evening on the topic which all of us may be very keen to know, mucormycosis, the black fungus. We have participants attending both on WebEx meeting platform as well as on YouTube Live. We also have this YouTube available on demand mode. So you can always ask your family and friends to join during this next 1 hour, 5 to 6, and also maybe later. We will have towards end, we will have a 10 minutes of a question and answer session. You can ask questions related to black fungus. But if you have any general questions regarding COVID or about anything you want to know about diabetes, feel free to ask the questions. Please post your questions on the chat box, respectively both those who are attending on the WebEx and YouTube. And I'll be posting the questions on your behalf to Dr. Mohan. With this, a few words. Now, I would like to invite Father, Reverend Father, Dr. Thomas Amirtham, the principal of Loyola College, and also the director of Loyola Alumni Association, to give the welcome speech.
Thank you, Dr. Xavier. Good evening to all of you, my dear friends, and Bhattishri, respected Dr. V. Mohan, dear fathers, sisters, and friends in India from abroad. It is indeed a very happy moment for all of us to come together for an important discussion. COVID has really hit us hard, but along with COVID, we are faced with multiple issues. Ever since we came to know about the new disease called black fungus, there has been some scary information shared about the disease, its cause, and the consequences. When the Indian subcontinent was battling with the Corona 2 second wave, black fungus disease came as a rude shock. It is then people like Dr. V. Mohan began to speak about it and started to provide scientific information about the disease and also provide practical guidelines as to how to protect ourselves. Today, we are happy to have with us Dr. V. Mohan to share with us all the information about the disease and also answer our queries about diabetics, its impact on the COVID-19. All these doubts and clarifications can be clarified with our beloved doctor. Dear sir, Loyola Alumni Association, Loyola College is extremely honored to have you today this evening. We are very, very grateful to you for finding time to spend with us because we all know how busy you are, and especially in the evening. My dear participants, I'm sure you will get a glimpse of Dr. V. Mohan introduced by our beloved alumnus Vishal. However, it is my duty to let you know that we are really blessed to have Doctor with us, speaking to us on this important topic in this evening. Dr. V. Mohan is a rare combination of erudite scholar, a scientist, and an untiring medical practitioner with a huge global experience. I think we need to be ready to draw from his rich wisdom and understanding. I extend a warm welcome to you, all the participants across the globe. I deem it my honor to arrange for this webinar so that all of us can draw information and clarification from Dr. V. Mohan and also protect ourselves and families so that this tragedy will not fall on us. Once again, as I thank Dr. V. Mohan for joining us, I also request all the participants to actively participate in this webinar. And sir will be very, very happy to take all your questions and clarify your doubts. So do not hesitate, and you're most welcome to interact with him because he enjoys interaction with people than addressing us all the time. So with these few words, I wish you all the best. Have a very enriching evening with Dr. Mohan. Over to you, Dr. Xavier. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Thomas. I now invite Mr. Vishal Baisani to introduce the speaker for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Pleased to introduce our alumni and our very renowned Dr. V. Mohan, the Chairman and Chief of Diabetology at Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center at Chennai in South India, which is an IDF center of excellence in diabetes care. Dr. Mohan oversees the largest chain of diabetes centers in the world with 50 branches across 8 states of India and has over 5 lakh registered diabetes patients in his centers. He is also a president and director of the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, which is Asia's largest standalone diabetes research center and an ICMR center for advanced research in diabetes. Dr. Mohan completed his high school in St. Mary's High School and obtained a state rank. During the school's 175th year celebrations, he was also facilitated as the best student ever in the history of St. Mary's High School by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former President of India. Dr. Mohan then did his pre-university in Loyola College from 1970 to 71 and again passed out as the outstanding student, first in the Madras University. He later joined Madras Medical College and was part of the famous 1971 MBBS batch, which was voted as the best batch ever in the history of MMC. Deeply interested in research from his undergraduate medical student days, Dr. Mohan has published a record number of 1,370 papers in peer-reviewed journals. This is a world record by a medical doctor in any specialty. This includes 900 original articles, 300 review articles and invited editorials, and 150 chapters to textbooks on diabetes. His research has attracted over 1,42,000 citations and has a H index of 139, which is the second highest by any scientist in India, second only to Bharat Ratna Professor C.N.R. Rao. Dr. Mohan has trained a large number of physicians and diabetologists in addition to nurses, educators, and received over 200 awards, including the prestigious Dr. B.C. Roy National Award by the Medical Council of India and the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Senatory Award from the Indian Council of Medical Research, the highest award for biomedical research in India. He was conferred the Dr. Harold Rifkin Distinguished International Service in the Cause of Diabetes Award by the American Diabetes Association, and he is the first Indian to receive this award. Recently, he has been conferred FRS from the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Dr. Mohan is one of the few medical doctors in India to have been awarded the FRSE. And here we are pleased to have Dr. Over to you, Doctor. Doctor, I think you're on mute.
We should be able to hear now.
Now, can you hear?
Yes.
Can hear now, no? Okay. something was wrong. Okay. Right. I would like to thank Principal Father Thomas, Father Amel Xavier, Masiullah, Father Roche, Vishal, and all the organizers for inviting me to be here today. Only recently I had the pleasure and privilege and honor of being the chief guest at your college day. And I'm very happy to see that that speech also has been viewed quite a few times. So I'm happy to be back, and I would like to assure you that even given more opportunities on different topics, I would be happy to come and speak to the alumni of Loyola, because Loyola, as I've repeatedly said, and I won't bore you by saying the stories again, has been a great source of inspiration to me, and all I am today is because of Loyola College. So I have a great debt to Loyola College. So today I'm going to talk about mucormycosis. I was presently surprised when people asked me to, when Masi and the team asked me from Loyola to speak on this. I thought it's such a rare thing. But let me first get my slides. Can you see it? You're able to see the slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'll make my presentation quite simple and brief because it's a highly technical subject and it's not really meant for a layman. But still, since there's so much of talk about it in the newspapers and media and everybody's so scared about it, I'll talk about it, but then we'll take up questions, and the question need not be related to this at all. So once again, to formally thank Father Thomas and Masiullah and the organizing committee of this meeting. I have no conflict of interest to declare. So what is mucormycosis? So mucormycosis is a serious fungal infection. Now, for those of you who don't know what a fungus is, you heard of bacteria and you heard of viruses, and virus, of course, who has not heard of after COVID-19? Bacteria are things which you can see under a microscope. Virus is something you cannot see under a microscope even. They're so small, you need an electron microscope to see it, and that's why it's very difficult to see COVID-19. Fungus, like bacteria, can be seen not only under the microscope, you can also probably see it with the naked eye. And one of the best examples of a fungus from a layman point of view is, if you take a loaf of bread and you cut that loaf of bread and you leave it in the exposed to the air for, let's say, a week or so, you will find something green or black forming on the bread. That is fungus. Now, how did that fungus come onto that bread? It's because there is fungus in the air, and that is something which you must know. So there is fungus floating around in the air. Where does it come from? It comes from the soil. It comes from spoiled food or rotten fruit or things like that. From there, the fungus is kind of floating around. But usually, and we may be having fungus even in our nose and all that right now, as long as it doesn't have a fertile soil for it to grow, it will just go off. And all of us may be having minor fungus infection. Even we have a little ringworm and we are scratching and it forms a round patch. That is also a fungus. On our tongue, if you have a white thrush-like thing, that is also a fungus. That's called white fungus, by the way. So all these things are harmless fungus, and it will go away with one day you put a fungus antifungal gel on it, and it will go away. But mucormycosis is a more deadly one. And if that's it, that is normally seen in people whose immunity is very low. And when the immunity is low, it spreads in the body. Okay. So remember that there are fungal spores in the air, and why I'm saying this is a simple wearing of a mask. When you go out, today I was walking on the road and I found that, not today, every day I walk on the road when I go for my morning walk. And I found that 50% of people were not wearing a mask, not just those who are running and so on, but those who are walking also slowly and going, even they're not wearing a mask. I was just thinking, if after all this, including mucormycosis, including COVID, including all the deaths, people are not scared, when are they going to get scared? I just can't, get over it. And at that time on the road, I saw some rotten things and all lying there. And I was thinking, mucormycosis may spread even from here. And the guys who are walking about here, if they're having uncontrolled diabetes, that is enough for them to get, mucormycosis, not enough for them to have COVID and get into hospital and so on. So the reason I'm telling you that is all of you must wear a mask until all this is over. Now, it's a very rare infection. So don't think that you're going to get it now suddenly. It's not like COVID. COVID spreads like wildfire. Mucormycosis doesn't spread like that. Even if somebody in your family has it, inside your house has it, it's not going to spread from one person to another. Unless you are also in that bad immunocompromised state, it doesn't spread. As I said, it's found in the soil. Let me get a laser pointer. Yeah, so it's found in the soil, plants, manure, decaying fruits, vegetables, all these things we are exposed to in the market, on the road, inside your house. So it is ubiquitous and it's found in the soil, and therefore, even I said, even the nose and mucus of healthy people can have it. It first affects the sinuses. The sinuses are just behind, the nose is here, and just behind here is one of the sinuses. Another sinus here is called frontal sinus. This is called ethmoidal sinus. The bone inside there, what is filled up there, that is called as a sinus. So once it goes into the sinus, from there it can spread into the eye very easily, and from there into the brain. That's why it's called as rhino is nose, rhino orbital cerebral mucormycosis. That's one of the commonest type. And as I said, people are immunocompromised. Uncontrolled diabetes is enough, and that's a commonest immunocompromised state. But also people are undergoing cancer treatment, chemotherapy, HIV, AIDS, post-transplant patients where they are on immunosuppressants. All these people are more prone to it. Now, untreated, it has a mortality of 50%. That means if 100 people have it, if you leave it alone, 50% will die. 50% of them will die. However, it is treatable. Okay. Now, in COVID-19, it is believed, we don't know why it has suddenly started spreading. Remember that in the first wave of this COVID-19, it was not reported anywhere in the world. Even in India, it was not reported. Only in the second wave, it came. Of course, one of my theories is that the steroid treatment to save lives for COVID-19 was published only around August, September of 2020. Until then, people didn't know how to treat COVID. They're putting them on ventilator and people are dying, Then they found out that there are some clots and there are some toxic substances produced for which if you give steroids are life-saving. You can save the life of the person. And a big reduction in the mortality was shown in UK in the recovery trial. And from then, steroids started getting used. But like everything else, people started going overboard. They're using steroids as a precaution to prevent COVID-19 from coming. That's the stupidest thing to do because steroids lower your immunity. It's supposed to, when you have a severe hyperimmune response, you're giving steroid to save your life. It is not a magic. It is not a panacea. And therefore, if you give steroids too early in COVID-19, it will facilitate the virus spreading. And that could be one reason why mucormycosis came. Of course, the sugar goes for a toss. Sugar goes up the roof. It goes to 400, 500, 600 if you give the large dose of steroids which are given. That could be another cause, and that seems to be the commonest cause of why they get it. Of course, even in non-diabetic people, if they're given steroid because the immunity goes down, you can get it. So mucormycosis, as I said, affects people who have poor immunity and the steroid treatment, and that is why you're getting. And of course, new onset diabetes can also come, and all this set the stage for the development of mucormycosis. What are the signs and symptoms? Very simply put, pain and redness around the eye. You can see this picture here. Okay, so pain and redness around the nose and the eyes. These are the most common. Of course, fever will come, headache will come. And then coughing, you start coughing because this black kind of HR kind of a thing goes in and starts irritating. Shortness of breath, bloody vomit, and because you can actually cough out blood or vomit blood, and then altered mental status. The last one is a very serious one because if that happens, it means your brain is affected. You can see the brain shown there. And if that gets affected, it's gone because I don't think people will survive if it reaches that. But in the early stages, if you diagnose it, you can treat it. There are drugs. I'm not going to go into the drugs and so on, but you have drugs like amphotericin B, poconazole, and so on, which are very, very effective. As I told you, there are different types. And this type, the rhino orbital cerebral, is the most important. I already described this. Starts as a common cold, then becomes like a sinusitis, and then you'll start seeing the nose becoming black because the whole thing is getting fungus is getting filled up there, and it is a black colored fungus, and therefore you start getting black. I'll show you a picture. And then if it goes into the eye, you get redness of the eye, you get irritation of the eye, pain in the eye, eyeball movements start getting blocked, stopped, and then you get protrusion of the eye. That's called as proptosis. The eye starts coming out, and that's a very serious condition. That means the eye is already infected very badly. You might have to even remove the eye. So all this must be detected early and treated early. Once you treat it, it's okay. See, in Tamil Nadu, out of about 300 odd cases of this, only 1 or 2 have died. The rest have been saved. There was a shortage of this antifungal drugs. Now they have got it. Government has got it. So you really don't have to worry about it. Okay. There are a couple of other forms which are not seen in this epidemic. One can affect the lungs, and that's called the pulmonary form, very serious form. And then the other is a cutaneous form. All over the skin it will spread. These are all very dangerous types of mucormycosis. Luckily, they're not seen now. We are only seeing this rhino, orbital, cerebral in this particular pandemic. So here are the pictures. You can see the the nose getting black. You can see how the eye is getting affected, and so you get a crusty lesion, and as I told you, edema of the eye lid and proptosis. Ophthalmoplegia means the eye doesn't move, and then retinal artery occlusion, and so on. So if you debride the place and do surgical debridement and give the local application of amphotericin B and so on, you can treat it before it goes into the late stages, of course. Okay, this is an article I wrote in the Hindu. The moment this was diagnosed, I called the Hindu and I said, this must be on May 14th itself. I've written nearly 3 weeks ago, when the first signs came from Mumbai. We have not yet got cases in Tamil Nadu. Already I wrote this article and I said, let people know about this, because to me, as a diabetologist, diabetes is the most common cause, and 95% of all mucormycosis in this particular round, it's due to uncontrolled diabetes. So I said diabetes control can lower the chance of dangerous side effect, and yet nobody was talking about it. So I said, okay, what it is, what are the types, why you should control the sugar, why steroids should be used judiciously, how to monitor the sugar and how to control the sugar. Very short article. In fact, when I sent it to them in the morning, around 11, 12 o'clock, I just sent it to them. By evening, they called and said, this is a fantastic article. We're going to publish it today itself. Please, correct. We'll send you the version. And tonight itself. And by 9 o'clock that night, they're already published it. It was already online. They liked the article. And subsequently, of course, everybody started talking about this. If you've not read about this, and if you want to know a quick layman's kind of a summary, here is this article. Now, who is at risk? I already told you, uncontrolled diabetes right on top. Immunosuppression with steroids, even if you don't have diabetes. Then if you're treated with other immunomodulator drug, tocilizumab, and there are other monoclonal antibodies which can predispose. Malignancy, a post-transplantation, prolonged stay in the ICU. If you keep on staying in the ICU, itself, fungus will develop due to the tubing, due to the water, due to the mechanical ventilation, oxygen therapy. I have a feeling that this time, because we also had oxygen shortage in India, and because of that, of course, very nicely they were trying to help out. I don't blame them trying to help out, but in auto rickshaws they were taking oxygen cylinder and going. As you go, I just talked about fungus being there all over. Can you imagine the state of the hygiene of that auto rickshaw in which this oxygen is there, and you're pushing that into the mouth, into the nose inside the auto rickshaw, and then giving it? What do you think is going to happen to the nose when such condition? The auto rickshaw driver is a nurse. He won't know how to put it and so on. So while people meant well, I also know that many organizations got together, NGOs got together, and anywhere they put a pandal and then started giving oxygen to people, saying, come before you go to hospital. I don't blame them at all. I mean, they were only trying to do good. But in the process, the SOPs that are followed, standard operating procedures in a hospital, which is very stringent, all that goes for a toss. And that could be one reason why only India saw it. Other countries did not see it, because others were probably treating them only inside a hospital and ICU and so on. And of course, if even inside the ICU, if you don't maintain things properly, you can get it. We don't know. When every hospital was filled up, many of those hospitals may never have used their ICUs. Now you're pushing everybody with any bed anywhere, you're pushing them into that. Maybe that caused it. And of course, HIV, AIDS, and so on. What are the investigations? We do normally a hemogram to see the blood count. Then we do the sugar levels, kidney function test. A CT scan is very useful. If you take a CT scan here, you can see that fungus inside there. MRI of the brain will tell you whether the eye or the brain is involved. And then all you have to do is to take a nasal swab or a sputum examination or a diagnostic nasal endoscopy and look for the fungus. You can see it under the microscope itself. How do you prevent rhino-orbital cerebral mucormycosis? First thing is judicious and supervised use of corticosteroids, of steroids, in compliance with preferred practice guideline. There is a dose which has to be given. If you give too much of it, as people go overboard, then you can get this. If you give it for too much prolonged a time, you're supposed to give it for 10 days maximum. I've seen prescription for 1 month, 2 months giving steroid. Why do you want to do that? Steroid is only life-saving only for the first 1 week inside the ICU, or even 4 days inside an ICU. Then if they go home, another week you should taper off the steroid and stop it. That doesn't happen. That could be one reason why 1 or 2 weeks after they come out of the ICU and they're in the house, they now develop this infection. Okay, that could be one. Tocilizumab, I told you, is another drug which can lower the immunity. So that also you have to be careful about. This is not for you, but I'm just telling you for the doctors. So this is for you. Aggressive monitoring and control of diabetes. Since we know diabetes is the commonest cause, we have no excuse not to control it. Diabetes is such a simple thing. It's not like a cancer where you need CT scan, MRI. You need a small glucometer at home, 1 drop of blood, 5 seconds. You know the answer, whether you're under control or not. If you're not under control, talk to your doctor and adjust your dosage of medicines. If necessary, even use insulin for a short period. Check your diet, start exercising, reduce your stress, and very quickly you can get your sugar under control. So you may be interested to know that, in the 3rd week of May, I was thinking one day, I was sitting actually in meditation, and I was just thinking, what can I do to stop this? On one side, COVID-19 people dying due to diabetes. And then on the other side, mucormycosis coming, again, uncontrolled diabetes. Suddenly it struck me, everybody talks about the uncontrolled diabetes, but nobody's talking about the controlling of the diabetes. You saw in that Hindu article, right on top, I've written control of diabetes. I said, this is not reaching people. So I just made a plea in one of the meetings. I just made a plea among the doctors meeting and said, hey, why not we just declare June as the glucose control month? We'll just declare in India, June, this June, because we have no point taking next year's June. So this year, June, what we are in now, I said, let's declare it as a glucose control month. And then I put it on social media. It went like wildfire, believe me. So many associations joined me. So many doctors joined me. In their own clinics, they started putting in social media, we joined Dr. Mohan and, in this fight against diabetes. So it's taken up and many dietitians join me. So many people join me. So now almost every day I'm having a webinar on control diabetes, control diabetes, control. I said every day of this year of this month in June, I'll give at least one webinar, one Facebook Live, something to keep talking to people. Because I think this is the message which is most important, of paramount importance at this particular time. Of course, strict aseptic precaution when administering oxygen with humidifier, sterile water. Personal and environmental hygiene is very important. I just talked about the road has all, things which are, getting putrefied and lying there. Those are things which attract fungus. If we keep all that away, see that, the hygiene is maintained, environmental hygiene as well as your personal hygiene. I'm sorry to say, but, some of the poor people may not be able to wash their, when I use a mask, it's always a throwaway mask, a surgical mask or an N95 mask, because I can afford it, I do that. But imagine the poor person wearing a mask, even those who wear a mask, they don't even wash it properly, they don't dry it properly. So it is wet, it is already attracting fungus, and first of all, you'll have your sputum on it and your mucus on it and everything. So it's already attracting fungus and it's moist. Again, next day you wear it, you're attracting, paving the way for mucormycosis to set in. It could be yet another reason. I'm just thinking, because we really don't know what are the reasons. I'm just thinking what all could have caused this deadly disease, So barrier mask, which should be fresh. But the moment it's wet, you should change your mask. That's a golden principle. Those of you who are wearing a mask, don't wear it for more than a few hours. If it is still dry at the end of the day, it's fine. Otherwise, change the mask once in between. A simple surgical mask itself will do. Or if it's a cloth mask, have 1 or 2, or make 4 or 5 and while 2 go for drying and thing, use the others. Okay. Betadine mouth gargle is good, not the nasal drop, because nasal drops already it's a thing. Another thing I want to tell you, the steam inhalation, which everybody keeps talking about. It's a kind of a myth, Keep on taking hot steam into what will happen to your nostrils? Your nostrils are so delicate. You keep on bombarding it with steam inhalation every day, morning and evening. Some people do it 3 times a day. Your entire lining will go. Once the lining is gone, fungus can enter very easily. This may be yet another reason. All these fake people who talk about it in social media, as if that is a cure of, they say, no, the fungus will be, no, the virus will be killed by the steam and so on. You think the virus is simply sitting there waiting for that steam to come? Virus will spread all over your body. It's not just sitting in your nose alone. So these are all wrong notions of people. Consider prophylactic cover. This is not for you, for the hospitals where you are having prolonged hospitalization and all that. Some oral fungal thing can probably be used. As far as the management is concerned, again, we need a team, because this is not something that's treated by one specialist. We need the diabetologist, but we need the ENT specialist, very important. We need an ophthalmologist, an intensivist, and if it is affected the bones here, you need a maxillofacial surgeon, microbiologist who can identify the fungus, and if it goes to the brain, a neurologist as well. Tight control of blood glucose levels. When you have this mucormycosis, it can lead to a condition called diabetic coma. And diabetic coma can lead to mucormycosis because the guy is lying there unconscious and all kinds of tubes will be going in. Insulin will almost always be needed for these patients. This is not the time to try some tablet. This is an emergency. You're going to save your life. So you must take insulin maybe for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then you can stop it. Increase the frequency of self-monitoring of glucose. Because so easy, you have a glucometer with you, and the glucometer doesn't cost much. It's about 800 rupees for a glucometer. And the strip is also not that expensive. You need to do it only occasionally, and you can do that. There are small patches which you can wear on your hand, like a coin it is. Just stick it on your hand, and it will record your blood sugar about 100 times in a day without drawing 1 drop of blood. It is called AGP, ambulatory glucose profile. That is something which we put on all our patients. So we know the blood sugar is hour to hour to hour, day to day. We know how it is. At the end of 2 weeks, you can take off that. It's like a patch. You put it there. If the patient is still on steroids, reduce the dose and discontinue it as soon as possible. Discontinue immunomodulatory drug. Proper guidelines for antifungal therapy and amphotericin B. I'm not going to go into that. There is the liposomal variety and the ordinary variety. The ordinary variety is a little more kidney toxic, so it can produce damage to the kidney. Whereas the improved varieties formulation that we have are much safer. And of course, if surgical debridement is needed, then it might, we hope nobody needs it, but if they need it, then they have to do that as well. So I'm keeping this quite short, and I hope I've given you an overview of this. Yeah, stop sharing. Okay, so we will leave enough time for questions. I've taken only about half an hour, so I thought we will leave more time for Q&A. I can see there already a lot of questions have come, but I leave it. Who's going to think? Amal Xavier is going to do that?
Yeah, yes, Doctor. Yes.
Please, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Doctor, is a very highly technical topic, but the way you have taken us through the various aspects of this particular viral condition, it was extremely useful because people like me, we were able to get so much information. And this June as a glucose control month is very interesting. As you mentioned that already many people are interested. So we thank you for this comprehensive coverage. Now I will move on to the question answer session.
Yeah.
We have quite a few questions, so I'll just go in some particular order. The first question is why people with diabetic conditions are more at risk for black fungus. Is this true, or if it is not, kindly explain.
Oh, it's 100% true. There is no doubt about it. In fact, see, when you have uncontrolled diabetes, let me get back, step back and tell you what about immunity. See, what is immunity? Immunity is our body's inherent capacity to get rid of all foreign agents, whether it is a bacteria or a virus or a fungus, anything which gets into the body has certain cells. These cells will go and attack it and kill it. It's like an army, you know. If you have an army, I'll give you two examples. One is like a fire engine. So if you have a fire station and you get an alarm saying that there is some building is on fire, immediately the bell will ring, and then the van is ready and everybody is there with the water and everything spraying and to put it out. So that is the first thing. The second example I'll give you is like an army. Suppose the Indian army is waiting and somebody is going to attack us, then all the signals are alerted and the signal is given, come on, finish them, don't allow them to enter India. So our army is there day and night, whether we know it or not. Our poor soldiers and the sailors and the air force and all of them are ready to defend us against the enemy. But suppose the enemy is very powerful, or it'll go the other way. Our army is very weak. Then we'll be taken over. We have been taken over so many times in history. We had so many invasions, Khyber Pass, they will come and simply enter and Delhi is taken over. It's happened so many times. So unless we have a very strong army, we cannot fight. Similarly, unless our immunity it's called as innate immunity, that is inborn, what cells you have, the T cells or the lymphocytes, the platelets and whatever you have in your body. If you have those cells and they are in strong position, then no infection can get serious. That's why many people with COVID-19 also, they have a cold, cough, and then it goes away. What the vaccination does is, it is giving you that particular immunity. It is imitating the COVID-19 spike protein, and from that they made the vaccine. Now they are injecting it into you as if the body has got a mild form of the COVID itself. Now the body will rush and produce all the immunity that it is needed, and that immunity will stay for a few months, if not for years. Now when the COVID comes, the COVID will get knocked out because the army has been made much stronger. It's like making the army much stronger. So that's what happens. Now in diabetes, what happens is the exact opposite happens. There is what is called a cellular immunity, and there is also the humoral immunity. The cellular immunity is through the cells. The humoral immunity is through all the hormones and the other stuff that you have in the blood and in the tissues, the macrophages and all the other T cells and all these are there as part of the immune mechanism. So in diabetic patients, it's been shown that it's not active at all. It's like a lazy immune system or an immune system which has gone to sleep. So once that is there, bacterial infections are more common. So you can get furuncles, boils, this, that, and all that. You can get viral infections, herpes zoster, herpes simplex, this, that, including COVID-19, which becomes very strong, and fungal infections. Fungal infection can be from ordinary ringworm to genital infections, which are due to Candida and other things, plus serious ones like mucormycosis and so on. So all these infections a diabetic patient is more prone to. If they keep their diabetes under control, and somebody has asked lower down what is the standard for HbA1c, I'll come to that. So that HbA1c test, if you're able to keep it, the normal value for HbA1c is 5.6. In the pre-diabetic stage, around 6, 6.5. But if it's above 7, your sugars are totally uncontrolled. And the higher it is, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, your risk is more and more and more. So somebody's having, and many of them walk around with HbA1c of 12, 13, 14, 15, not even bothering about it. So these are people who have to quickly bring their sugars down and get their HbA1c under control. Once your HbA1c comes to the pre-diabetic or the normal value, you are like a normal person. Your immunity has doubled now, okay? And don't think immunity is just popping one zinc capsule or one vitamin C capsule. It's not so simple to build up one's immunity just by taking one thing. Immunity depends on so many things. It depends on your sleep. It depends on your exercise. It depends on your fitness. It depends on whether you're obese or not. It depends on your sugar. It depends on so many things that your immunity is a total, the total substance of all your good health comes into your immunity. So if you have any disease, if you have tuberculosis, your immunity is down. If you're having cancer, your immunity is down. If you have diabetes, your immunity is down. If you take steroids, your immunity goes down. So the whole idea is to build up your immunity by controlling your diabetes well. A lot of questions are coming, so you can, we'll go fast.
Okay, sorry. I have two questions.
Yeah.
Which is related to each other. I'll ask the first one. The fungus is known to spread more during autumn or summer. Is this one of the reasons that why we see more now? But of course, you also explained that how this was different from wave 1 and wave 2.
Yeah. I don't think fungus actually plays a big, is a big difference in summer and winter. Viruses do. Most viruses come during winter because it's cold, and the virus easily spreads. Influenza and other viruses spread when it's cold. Fungus only depends on that local condition. See, if you keep the bread in summer or keep the bread in winter, the same fungus is going to come, isn't it? So think of the bread analogy. So I don't think it's the summer which is going to. Of course, if you keep the bread in the refrigerator, it doesn't happen. Why? Because there's a controlled atmosphere. You're not having direct exposure to air, and the temperature is also controlled. So if you keep the bread inside the refrigerator, you may not get fungus at all, even after a long time. What about fruits and vegetables? You keep it inside the refrigerator, nothing happens. You keep the same fruit out, immediately fungus will form after some time. So I think similarly, I don't think the weather plays such an important role. It is a local condition of that person which plays a role, the hygiene and other factors.
Doctor, can you differentiate between black fungus, white fungus, and the yellow fungus? With these other things we read in the newspapers.
Yeah. I think these things became very fancy, like the colors of the rainbow. They started giving all kinds of names. Actually, even mucormycosis is not black fungus. We just call it black fungus for the layman to know. But actually, it is not black fungus. You should call it as mucormycosis. Similarly, there's another one called aspergillosis. Aspergillosis is another deadly fungus. It can affect the lungs, and like mucormycosis, it can be quite deadly. That doesn't affect the nose that much, but it affects the lungs more. So aspergillus is another one. That can be called as a white fungus if you like. Then Candida. Candida is the commonest white fungus that you see. It's white in color. And then most of the other fungi that we see, which are not so common, you can call them yellow or other kind of fungus. Of these, the one which actually has this black eschar is mucormycosis. That's why it's called as the black fungus. And what has been reported in epidemic proportions has been only this mucormycosis only. The other fungi are not that common. Although in all diabetic patients, you can get all these fungi, all these fungus infections. But in this particular one, it's more of the black fungus or the mucormycosis.
Doctor, there's one question related to COVID and diabetes. The question is that is diabetes condition has increased during this COVID waves, and are people who were affected by COVID, will they develop diabetes?
Yeah, so that is called COVID-induced diabetes, and I've made some videos on that, as well as I've written articles in many papers, including the Hindu. In the first wave, I wrote a lot about it. Now, COVID can produce diabetes in 4 ways. Number one, due to the stress, anxiety. People get so, of course, the anxiety now is much less than what it was. Just go back 1 year ago, April or March, April of last year. Everybody was scared, lockdown, this, that, first time. The stress, people committed suicide. How many people committed suicide thinking that they'll get COVID to commit suicide? To that extent, people were scared, and they were, they couldn't sleep. They went into depression. Then the lockdown came. So the stress, depression, anxiety is one cause. That's very well known to produce diabetes. Just like your BP goes up, sugar goes up. Number two, because of the lockdown, what happened was people could not go for exercise. For months together, they were staying at home. They got scared. So they put on weight. They also some of them started binge eating. They went into depression. They started eating whatever they liked, fatalistic attitude. So because of that, because the diet going wrong, exercise going wrong, and weight going up, obesity is one of the common causes of diabetes. That is number two. Number three is steroid use. So large dose of steroid being used, it's not surprising at all that diabetes comes. So the question will come, if you stop the steroid, will it become normal? Yes, it can. In some people, it's just a temporary rise due to the steroid. And when you stop the steroid, the diabetes also goes away, but not in all. In some cases, the diabetes has been waiting to come out. Like a bomb about to burst. No, you just trigger it off and the bomb goes off. Once the bomb is gone, you can't put it back. So similarly, in some people, the tendency to get diabetes is so strong, only waiting for a trigger, and that trigger was steroid. Now, after steroid, is not able to come back because the history was family history was so strong, and they were anyway going to get it. They would have got it anyway, and this was just a trigger. So some people, it doesn't come back again. The fourth and the most important cause of why COVID. In fact, today there was an article in Times of India which my daughter has written, and if you open today's Times of India, you will find it's come in all the editions, I believe, where she's talked about COVID and diabetes, how all these four mechanisms are given there. So the fourth mechanism is COVID directly entering into the pancreas, producing damage to the beta cells, destroying it, so insulin production goes away, and thereby getting diabetes. Now, this has been talked about, but we have not seen it much. And I'm part of an international committee which is studying this to see if it's really true. 4 postmortems have been done where they showed inside the pancreas the COVID there inside, and had blown out all the beta cells and damaged them. So 4 postmortems have been published. But whether those are rare things, I think it is rare, because in all the cases who come to me, usually it's steroid or something else. They put on weight or neglected or something. That seems to be the cause. And in most patients, I have been able to get them under good control. So yes, COVID can produce diabetes.
Yeah, Doctor, one more question. Would you recommend a blood sugar test after COVID?
100%, because I think glucose is a vital sign. We call it as a 5th vital sign. So blood pressure is one vital sign, pulse is another vital sign, and your respiration is a 3rd vital sign. Your temperature is a 4th vital sign, and 5th vital sign is glucose. So now we are saying that every person admitted to any hospital for anything, get all the 5 done. Apart from pulse, BP, this, that, temperature and respiration, check your glucose also, because it is so common, and the glucose going up due to stress and so on is so common. So glucose has to be tested in hospital and outside hospital, because many develop this, as it is, diabetes incidence is very high in India. And now after COVID-19, there's a big surge in diabetes. You'll miss all that. And those are people who are going to get Mucor. Remember, Mucor doesn't occur immediately. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks of this uncontrolled diabetes only develop. So when you go home itself, if you start checking, oh, my sugar is high, let me get it down, you're eliminating the risk for Mucor. So the topic of today is Mucor. So we're able to get your sugar under control. Virtually, mucormycosis is eliminated. And then, of course, the excess steroid and all, we can bring it down also.
Doctor, just coming back to this mucormycosis, whom should we approach if we suspect, that we are experiencing the symptoms?
I think the first doctor should be an ENT doctor, because that is where the eye comes only later, and the glucose is a secondary factor, which of course you can check in the house or get the sugars done and immediately contact the diabetologist. Will help you to get the sugar under control. But the primary disease treatment for this, the taking the swab and sending it and diagnosing the mucor and all that, an ENT doctor has to do that. So I think it is the ENT doctor who is the primary doctor for mucormycosis.
Yes. Doctor, would you like to answer this question? What is the current standard for HbA1c?
Okay, so I want to answer. So HbA1c, the normal value is below 5.6. So if it's below 5.6, you don't have diabetes, or your diabetes is like a non-diabetic person now. It's controlled well. Between 5.7 to 6.4 is pre-diabetes. So if you're in that situation, 6.1, 6.2, you're probably on the threshold of getting diabetes. If it goes above 6.5, you have diabetes. But up to 7, we say for a diabetic patient, it's okay. 6.8, 6.9 is okay. Anything above 7 is uncontrolled, and all the immunity problems start coming after 7. And the higher it is, the worse the immunity. So if you have 8, it is only partly your immunity is going to be affected. If it is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, your immunity is going to be very, very, very bad. So the higher the A1C, the worse the disease, and the worse the immunity, and the worse the the recovery from COVID-19 and higher the chance of getting mucormycosis and so on.
Doctor, there is a question related to immunity, but I want to ask this question.
Yeah.
How one improves immunity even if you have diabetes? So
it doesn't matter whether you have diabetes, don't have diabetes. One of my videos on immunity when the early days of COVID, when I started, that went viral, really it went viral. So I talk about 5 things that you should do. Number 1 is diet, and I saw some people ask about diet. Number 1 is diet. Now in India, the problem with our diet is we eat too much of carbohydrate. We eat too much rice, idli in the morning, rice in the afternoon, chapati or rice in the evening, and for dinner, it's all rice-based or chapati-based, that is wheat or rice, carbohydrate-based throughout all the 3 meals. Now, when you take too much of carbohydrate, you're producing a slow inflammation inside the body because you produce insulin resistance. So that is one of the banes of our Indian diet, that we eat too much of carbs. And we don't have enough protein. Protein is the one which builds your immunity. Protein is the one which gives you strength and builds up both your body as well as your mind and as well as your immunity. Protein is very, very low, particularly in vegetarians, where they don't take protein at all. At least non-vegetarians get some protein. The third is unhealthy fats. If you eat all kinds of saturated foods and junk foods and all that, that also lowers your immunity. So the way to eat is, when you take a plate, don't put your rice and chapati on it first. First, see where are the vegetables. Okay, vegetables are a storehouse of immunity. So they have vitamins, minerals, and all iron, all the good things that you need for your nutrition comes from your vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables, whether it's lettuce or whether it's spinach or broccoli or any of the leafy vegetables. If you're able to see that there are leaves on your plate. So leafy vegetables are very good. B12. B12 is very much deficient among Indians. So that is something. Fill half your plate with either one type of vegetable or preferably even a couple of types of vegetables. All colors of vegetables you're able to get, even better. You can get the yellow or orange for carrot, and green and white comes in radish and red, tomato. So you can get all types of colors, but you must have half your plate filled with vegetables. Quarter of your plate to keep for protein. And that protein comes from, either from non-vegetarian, you have fish, chicken, white of the egg, safe to go. Red meat you cut down. And the vegetable protein, of course, is the best. Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, soya, mushroom. These are all the paneer. These are all rich sources of vegetable protein, which are very, very healthy, even healthier than the non-veg protein. So you take quarter of the plate, you fill up with protein. So you must have protein, you must have veggies. Now you come to your carbohydrate. Little bit of rice or one chapati or something like that in small quantities is enough. That is enough to give you the carbohydrate. Once you have this, it's a highly balanced diet and very, very good for your immunity. So diet is number 1. Number 2 is exercise. When I talk about exercise, there are 3 components in exercise. And remember it easily, I have a mnemonic. It's called FAR, F-A-R. F stands for flexibility. Flexibility means you must be able to turn your neck, turn your body side to side, bend, and so on. So that's flexibility. F. A is aerobic. Aerobic is running, walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, whatever you move from one place to another. Everybody knows the A part of it. They don't know the F part of it and the R part of it. R is resistance training, taking a weight and doing small weight training for your arms, for your shoulders, for your legs, raising your leg and bending your knee and getting up and sitting down, squats. That is resistance training. Resistance training builds muscle, muscle builds immunity. So you need all the 3 components, F-A-R, flexibility, aerobic exercise, and resistance training. So that's number 2 over. So diet over, exercise over. Number 3, stress reduction. Stress reduction is very important. You're going to sit, like this all the time, worried, tensed up. Your brain is not going to work properly. Your immunity is going to go down. So for that, you do whatever you like. If you like music, do that. If you like yoga, do that. If you like pranayama, breathing, fantastic. You'll be able to reduce your stress considerably by doing this. So that's number 3. Number 4 is good sleep. You must get good sleep. If you don't get good sleep, you're not going to get immunity. Sleep at least 6 to 8 hours a day and try to get into bed before 11 p.m. every day. Unless you are in some night shift or something, that's an occupational hazard. But normal people should try to get into bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock. and get at least 6 hours of sleep. Even 7 is okay. 8 is an upper limit. You don't need more than 8. If you get more than 8, something wrong with you. There's some disease you're having. That's why you need more than 8 hours sleep. Less than 6, don't think you're being a hero. I'm a Superman. I need only 4 hours of sleep. Don't fool yourself. Human body is the same for everyone. You need at least 6 hours of sleep. So that's number 4, sleep. Number 5, if you have any other disease, whether it's diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, asthma, whatever, control that. If these 5 you take over, these are the 5 secrets of immunity. If you follow this, your immunity is top class. Of course, you can always add Vendium to it, or you can add haldi to it, you can add turmeric to it, or you can have ginger or garlic or whatever, green tea, or all these things are additional. But those are not the ones going to give you immunity. People think, I'll take one garlic and I'll take something and my immunity is good. No, no, no. You have to have these 5 first. Then in addition, you can add all those things if you like.
Yes, there is one question regarding gestational diabetes and mucormycosis.
Gestational diabetes generally is a very mild type of diabetes. It can be easily controlled. It's also a temporary condition. It's only about 3 to 4 months only the lady, when the second trimester of pregnancy, only gestational diabetes comes. And normally when she delivers, it goes away also. So gestational diabetes producing mucormycosis, I have not seen it so commonly. It's more common in type 2 diabetes or uncontrolled type 1 diabetes, especially in type 2 diabetes, more common. GDM, of course, if the GDM is high and it's uncontrolled, anybody can get it, but it's rare because in the first trimester, you don't have it. Second trimester, third trimester, you get mild one, which is easily treated, and then it goes away. Within that time, if you get COVID, within that time, if you get, thing mucormycosis coming, it's not a very common thing.
Yes. There are a lot of other, I mean, you've already given the response, mostly related to the immunity and other, and also
First,
like saying,
I've seen some of these questions. Can I do a rapid fire and go up from there? Okay, can we drink turmeric milk to improve immunity? Yes, you can, but I told you don't depend only. Turmeric is good. I'm not saying turmeric is not good. So it is excellent. You can do that. But don't think just by drinking that your immunity is saved. You have to do all the other things. Now, during COVID, you can eat egg. Egg is great. White of the egg is even better. Yellow is also okay if you don't have cholesterol problem. Egg is very good to improve your immunity. If children recover COVID, what are the possibilities of diabetes? Children, first of all, don't get COVID that often, and their chance of getting diabetes is very uncommon. I don't think that is a big issue. And we should protect our children from getting COVID. I hope their vaccination also comes soon. During this COVID, can we have egg finished? What diet we followed, I told you. Is there a possibility third wave? Well, we can't rule it out. You know what? When first wave came, and Indians had less deaths. No, we Indians have a very bad habit. We think we are super in everything. Oh, we are a nation which is 10,000 years old, and for everything we think we are too great. That is called hubris. That is called arrogance. That is what brought us down. And in fact, right now the British are going through that. But last week they said, oh, we don't have even one death. We are conquered. Today they have 6,000 cases. Last week they said that. Today they've got 6,000 cases. So you think they won't have deaths? I think we all have to be humble. We can't say, oh, British don't have it, Indians don't have it. We are all same human beings only. Don't forget that. Okay. And so we must be watching out for a third wave. If it doesn't come, it's great, but you must be prepared. Let's not again run for oxygen, again run for beds, again run for this, again run for that. We are prepared. Nothing happens, fine. We'll change over and we'll say, great, it's happened. That's why yesterday I posted in Twitter a thing saying that, okay, now that the cases are coming down, do you think that we should all continue to have COVID appropriate behavior until the last case in the world is there or not? And I gave it a poll question. And I said, agree, disagree. 3% of people disagreed. I said, we disagree with you. So I said, just to see these crackpots I posted today, I said, I want to know how many people are real crackpots in the world. And now I know 3% of people are crackpots in the world. Even if you tell them very good, please look after yourself. No, I disagree. They'll say for anything, they'll say disagree. Okay. So if you have both vaccination, can you go out thing? If you get both vaccines done, you are kind of protected. Yesterday, we had the data from one of my friends that published it in India. There's a 1% reinfection chance. If even after getting both the vaccines, about 1% chance of that. 99% you won't get it. Nothing in biology is 100%. That you must remember. So that 1%. That 1% also 99% of that 1%, nothing happened to them. They just had little infection, they all came out. But 1% of that 1% will die also. Because you may be having some genetic factor, some HLA genes which are different, something. And remember, these vaccines are about 90% effective, which means 10% are not effective. You may be in the 10%. How do you know? So just because somebody got vaccinated and somebody got COVID and died, don't use that to project it to the whole world and say, I know of one person who got COVID in spite of getting and he died. I know of 1 million people who did not get it after getting vaccination. That is how you'll have to look at it. I always tell people, don't compare. See, don't talk about a plane which crashed and say, see, a plane will crash. Therefore, all planes should be banned. Because one plane I know crashed 6 months, 1 year ago, one plane crashed. Therefore, all aviation industry itself should be stopped. One plane will always crash. When you have thousands of planes going about, one machine will fail somewhere, something, or the pilot slept off, something happened, and one plane will die. That doesn't mean the entire industry is wrong. Similarly, vaccination also you'll hear 1 in 3 million people, one guy died. Oh, one guy died. So entire vaccination is scrapped. It doesn't work that way. That's the only thing that we have, and you'll have to do that. Which vaccine is better, Covishield or Sputnik? We don't have the experience in India. Covaxin or Covishield? This morning's paper, if you see Hindu, first page news, again, some of my friends have published this. Covishield has a better antibody response that has been published in today's paper. This morning's paper, Hindu, first page has the news. Covishield has a better antibody response than Covaxin. It doesn't mean anything. If you take both your shots, it's almost the same. And we can't be, see, beggars can't be choosers, as they say. So when you don't have vaccine in the country, now you keep Covishield and Covaxin and all that, don't worry. Both are good. Take any one. Is Covishield inactivated vaccine? Is it hypothetical to get vaccine? It's not hypothetical. It has been proven, and it has already been proven to save lives. In my hospital, 400 to 500 people got vaccinated. I can give you my hospital experience. About 500 people got vaccinated in our hospital. About 5 or 10 of them, while they were undergoing the vaccine and all that, they developed COVID. All the 5 recovered. About 100, 200 people refused to take the vaccine. Whatever we told them, I talked to them, told them, please take it, please take it. They said, don't talk to us about it. We don't believe in it. 3 of them have died already. 3 have died. What does it show? It's very clear. The writing on the wall is very, very clear. I have no interest in vaccination. I don't have shares in vaccination. I am telling you as a human being, I'm just telling you, please take it. And that's the only thing which can protect you. Risk factors, black fungus finish, elderly person, 400. Is it advisable to take COVID vaccine? The sugar itself is not a contraindication, okay, for vaccine. Uncontrolled diabetes, all the more reason you should take it. You don't have to wait for sugar to come down to take the vaccine. Mucormycosis, basic prevention, we finished all that. How to improve immunity, I finished. How can you improve our immunity, have control, finished. When will COVID end in India? That I think God has to answer. Let's pray to the Almighty that He ends it soon. Not only in India. Why? I want the whole world. Why only India? Let the whole world is our brothers and sisters. So let them also not suffer. It should end, and it will end. Don't think it's going to go on forever. Spanish flu ended, the plagues ended, everything ended. This will also end. It's only 1 year now. Other pandemics have lasted 2-3 years. I think by 2022 it should come down. Okay. Rhinosporidiasis is another similar thing which affects the nose. Luckily, we are not seeing that now. Winter, we have finished. Is there going to be a third wave? There could be. We should be ready. Isn't black fungus spreadable? No, it doesn't spread from person to person by sneezing and all that. Only if you have that, tendency to catch that fungus, only then you get it. Okay, so I think rapid fire, I have tried to answer everything, so I didn't want anybody disappointed. A couple more. Some articles say, do steroids affect diabetes? Of course, Cynthia Prabhu is asking. Of course, steroids affect, Cynthia. Definitely affects. Then already affect COVID patient, issue of third wave. If you're already got COVID, you're unlikely to get affected. But then remember, the variants are mutating all the time. So you may get it. So better to have vaccination even if you're, but if you've got COVID, wait for 2 months until you get your vaccination. Don't go and take your vaccination 1 week after you're recovered from COVID. That could be dangerous. Wait for 2 months, because anyway for 2 months you'll have immunity. then you can go and take it. Some articles say COVID-19 will cause lifelong side effects. What kind of side effects? Not really lifelong. What they're talking about. See, normally when you recover from COVID, same day you should be fine. What they call as long COVID is 3 months, 6 months. Some aches, pains, some chest tightness in the chest, some palpitation, fear more than anything else. Fear. I don't think it's going to last lifelong and all that, unless you're some unlucky person who got caught. Don't worry about that. So there's no lifelong effect. What about root vegetables? Sugar people should avoid. Generally better to cut down on potato, but all other root vegetables you can take. Who can take the vaccine? Who should not? Everybody should take the vaccine. Unless your doctor told you for some reason you have some rare disease, vaccine is very dangerous, don't take it, you don't take it. Otherwise, 99.9% of people in the world with diabetes, without diabetes, everybody should take it. Okay. I think that's about it.
Yes, yeah. That's very kind of you, Doctor. We have taken questions both from YouTube and as well as on the WebEx. So that's almost brings us close. I request now Father Roach to give a vote of thanks.
Good evening to everyone. Dear Dr. V. Mohan, the world-renowned diabetologist and then scientist. We have been inspired and then enlightened by the talk this evening, where you are connected well with our immunity and the matrix of different diseases connected with the COVID, then mucormycosis, and then the diabetes, and then you have been the best student, best doctor, best researcher, best writer, author, scientist, orator, and by wanting to serve the entire humanity, you have also been a very good human being, the best human being, I would say. So thank you, sir, on behalf of Loyola College and Loyola Alumni. I place a record of gratitude to all that you have been this evening. And also I thank Dr. Masi, the convener of this webinar this evening, Vishal Bisani, for introducing the doctor to us with all his litany of achievements to us. And we thank the MC and the moderator of this evening, Dr. Amal Xavier Raj, for beautifully organizing it. And we thank for the rector, Francis Xavier, for the Salvanagam secretary, for the Thomas, the principal, and all the fathers of Jesuit management for organizing it. And we have the great stars of Loyola, the alumni in the sky of Loyola. Once you are Loyolite, always you are a Loyolite. We thank for organizing this. Thank you one and all. God bless you.
Thank you, Father Roach, and thank you to Masula. Look forward to more such sessions. I think Father has come. Father Thomas has come.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. It was such an enlightening and enlivening session. Great opportunity to listen to you.
Thank you, Father. After a couple of months or so, if some other topic unrelated to this also, if you think there's something which should talk about, I'll be very happy to. I would also be very happy to talk to people about excellence and how to achieve it, and some gleanings from the book. And if those kind of things you want, also the motivational thing, I'll be happy to do that also.
We will do that for our students, sir.
Yeah,
that will be great.